All right, in this lesson I'm going to briefly go over two elements in HTML that are kind of unnamed elements, and when I say them, they're not going to make a lot of sense, and they really don't do anything by default. And you're going to say, why in the world are you teaching me this? Because you're going to see them all the time. And one is called the div, which I'm going to go ahead and open that and close that. The div and the span. There. So the div is a block element, and the span is an inline element. Once again, block meaning that it fills up all the empty space, pushes things over to the next line. Span is inline, meaning you can put them all next to each other and they'll just keep going on forever next to each other. So you'll notice if I put a div here, and I'm just going to put some text that says, actually I put it in a p tag. This is a paragraph in the HTML element called div. And I'm going to put this one in here. It says this is some text in a span. So they don't really do anything by default, but you're going to see it a lot because designers use them, especially designers use them for controlling elements on the website. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Remember, we learned the style attribute last lesson, and I can say in this div the background color is going to be gray, like that, and I'm going to add some padding here, 10 pixels, and I'm going to add a border to it, 1 pixel solid, a little bit darker gray there, and I'm going to add a margin bottom to it. Bottom is 10 pixels. And again, this will be covered in another course, CSS, but I'm just using this to show you what a div is. So basically we have a paragraph tag here, and it's inside the div element. So a p tag is here, and it's inside the div. So the div doesn't do anything necessarily, it just allows us to be able to style things and organize the HTML document semantically. Span is identical to a div, except it's inline. There's really no purpose of it other than it's just an inline HTML element that we can use just like the span, or just like the div. So I can say style, background color is almost black, and the color is almost white. So I can add things to the span that will control things inside the span. Same thing with the div. So that's basically the general breakdown of a div and span. You probably won't be using a lot of those in your, if you're using a CMS, you won't be using a lot of those in your WYSIWYG editor or as you're editing content in Joomla or Drupal or WordPress or things like that. But you will definitely see it a whole lot in your template and all over the web.